Well, here we go with Insomniac Games yet again. Insomniac Games, I really do think, is trying to be the next Volition. I think they were inspired by what happened with Volition, and I think that the whole story of essentially dying on the identity politics sword really drives it home for Insomniac Games. So I think they're trying to be the next Volition for sure. But we have an article here from Bounding with a headline that says Insomniac Games devs have confirmed that Miles Morales is now the main Spider-Man of the Marvel's Gamerverse. Now, they're basically been trying to work at this for a while. They tried to do it little by little to try to get you invested in Miles Morales, even though people just don't care about Miles Morales like that. He is literally the diversity hire for Marvel when it comes to Spider-Man, and you could say otherwise, but they have used him to tokenize pretty much almost anything in Marvel at this point. And now apparently they're going to have Peter Parker kind of take the sideline and make Miles Morales the brand new main Spider-Man. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. It says, in furthering Marvel's ongoing efforts to push Peter Parker out of his own identity, Insomniac Games has confirmed that following the ending of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales will now serve as the video game series' main version of Spider-Man. As seen at the conclusion of the recent release title, following a fierce citywide battle with a king and black-powered Venom and his symbiote army, Peter ends his latest video game outing by choosing to take a temporary break from his superheroing career. In service of this Spidey's sabbatical and unwilling to leave the city without a Spider-Man, Peter ultimately decides to pass the webs to Miles. However, when Peter tries to communicate this decision to Miles face to face, the unprecedented nature of the situation leaves him tongue-tied and tripping over his own words. Now, anybody who played the original Spider-Man in the DLC Miles Morales, even though that was a separate game, I still consider it to be a DLC, you guys pretty much know that this is where they were going with this for a while now. I don't really consider this to be shocking because it kind of made it pretty obvious at the end of Miles Morales' first game that they were going to try to make him into the main Spider-Man. They've been trying to shove Miles Morales down your throat for a while now, and they feel like they're at the point now where they can successfully do it and still get away with it, right? So they're feeling as if they promote Miles Morales on Spider-Man 3, for example, and make him the main Spider-Man, I guarantee you that they feel like they can make as much money, if not more, than they made on Spider-Man 2 without Peter Parker. That's their mindset right now, and this is why they want to do it while it's hot, because they feel like if they do it now, it can basically solidify Miles Morales as the Spider-Man when we all know he's not the Spider-Man, right? Peter Parker, there's a difference, ladies and gentlemen. There's such a thing as two things being true. There is Peter Parker, who is the Spider-Man, right? He is the Spider-Man. And then there's Miles Morales, who is a Spider-Man, okay? There's a difference between that. There's being the Spider-Man and there's being a Spider-Man. And Miles Morales is simply a Spider-Man. He's filling in the role for the actual Spider-Man. It says, laughing at his mentor's typical roundaboutness, Miles eventually cuts off Peter mid-statement and assures him, I got this, bro. All of it, he adds, gesturing out towards the Big Apple. Go be Peter Parker for a while. Choking back tears, Peter then fights back tears to ask, are you sure? It's a big city, to which Miles playfully affirms, I can handle it as long as I can still call you for advice. You don't need it, Peter confidently counters, his pride in Miles prompting him to wrap him in a brotherly embrace. Maybe not now, digresses Miles, but there will come a time. I'm here for you, Peter tells him in return, always. Referring to Peter as Big Bro and giving one final fist bump to New York's original web slinger, Miles ends his time at Peter Parker's household by pulling up the mask on his terrible costume and swings off into the sunset. Yes, this costume is pretty damn terrible. I don't know what they were thinking about it, but again, this is Miles Morales. They don't really give him a lot of thought. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they have his hair coming out of his mouth. Anyway, it is what it is, man. And it was in a discussion of this particular cutscene that the game's narrative director Ben Affleck and advanced writer Brittany Morris confirmed that going forward, Miles Morales would take center stage in Insomniac Games' future Spider-Man outings. Asked during a Marvel Spider-Man 2 plot-centric interview with IO9's Justin Carter, you said earlier you basically knew right away that you wanted playable Venom. Does that also apply to ending this game with Miles as the main Spider-Man from now on? Morris asserted it always felt very natural, and I think we all collectively thought it would happen. Of course it felt very natural to this person, of course. Why would it not? Of course it feels very natural. Let's just get the diversity hire in there now while it's hot, because if we don't do it now, 10 years from now, when this nonsense doesn't matter anymore, we're not going to be able to profit from it anymore. So we need to do it now while it's hot, while everybody's worried about diversity hires. Let's do it right now, get it done, get it over with, and that's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to push it out while they still can. It says, to me, it shows a great deal of evolution from Miles. At the beginning of the game, we see him struggling to figure out what he wants to do with his life. She explained by the end, we had Miles carrying the burden of saving the city and also carrying Pete when Pete wasn't strong enough to carry himself, at various points. She further opined, that's what's been so cool about writing a story about two Spider-Men. They're both strong, and one of them can be strong when the other is not. By the end, Miles is more confident, and he's like, yeah, I got this. How much worse can things get after what we just went through? Adding to his colleague's insight, Affleck noted, to echo what Brittany said, the idea of two Spider-Man story was always really essential to this game. It wasn't essential to this game. It was only essential to trying to sell Miles Morales as the next Spider-Man. That's the only reason why they did this. You guys realize this, right? They did this so that they can sideline Peter Parker at the end of the story and try to make Miles Morales prominent. That's all it was for. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put Miles Morales in this game. There was a reason why Miles Morales was separated from the original Spider-Man game, because they are two different Spider-Man with two different powers, two different stories, and they only combined the two because they wanted to sideline Peter Parker, and they needed to do it together in order for it to make sense, not only for them, but to try to sell the story to their fans of the game. So they put Miles Morales on the forefront, and now they have sidelined Peter Parker, and they try to do it behind this whole sympathy story of, oh, Peter Parker just wants to be a Peter Parker for a while. That's what they do. So now Peter Parker's out of the picture, and Miles Morales is going to be the Spider-Man now, and now Peter Parker is essentially just lowered to a phone call every now and then, and that's basically it. Isn't that amazing? The character who sold the game for you guys, the character who made PlayStation honestly big, one of the PlayStation titles that are very huge for the console, you are now sidelining that character for another character like Miles Morales. It just goes to show that they really don't care about money. It says, I think pretty early on we knew that we wanted to have that moment of handing the reins over, said the narrative director, and as we developed it, as we started to lay down more track leading up to that moment, it just felt more and more right. I'm telling you, this is their idea from the beginning. They didn't want Peter Parker to be the main Spider-Man. They wanted Black Miles Morales to be the main Spider-Man. That's what they wanted to do, and the only way they could do it is by actually passing the reins from white Peter Parker to Black Spider-Man. That's what they want, man. That is what they want. Miles Morales will always just be Miles Morales, and that's why that is such a trend on Twitter. But you know what? It's true. Miles Morales is in fact Miles Morales, and Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Because when you sell your toys, when you sell your merchandise, you don't put Peter Parker as Spider-Man. You just put Spider-Man with Peter Parker. When you sell Miles Morales merchandise, you don't put Spider-Man on it. You put Miles Morales. That's the big difference. And there's a reason why, and it's because Peter Parker is the fucking Spider-Man, and Miles Morales is just a version of Spider-Man. It says, I think it was John who wrote that scene in Aunt May's garage, and it's one of my favorite scenes. He continued, the way that Miles intuits exactly what Peter's thinking and stops him from stumbling through trying to hand over the mask. Miles going, you know, I got this, bro. It's such a great moment between the two of them, and it felt like such a natural conclusion. I'm not sure when specifically we decided to do that, but it always felt like the only way the game could end. Of course you did. Of course you did. So it looks like, unfortunately for Peter Parker, he is going to be sidelined and cucked in his own games. They're going to start calling Miles Morales Spider-Man now, and I wonder if it's actually going to sell. I really do. I don't know. I don't think it's going to take a big hit in sales, because listen, at the end of the day, people are going to play their games. These games, you know, are heavily bought by just normies, right? People who are not in this culture war stuff. They're not really caring too much about it. But I do think it's going to do less than original Spider-Man. If they're honest about it, right? And they put Miles Morales on the cover of Spider-Man 3, and they say this is Spider-Man 3 and it only features Miles Morales, yeah, I'm going to say that it's probably not going to be bought as much as the original Peter Parker Spider-Man would, but time will only tell whether or not that's going to be true. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.